The prayer?
Absolutely. Please bow your heads and pray. Lord, we come before you this evening. We thank you for this wonderful day you've given us. Even though it's a little chilly, we'll get through it. We ask that you bless us, bless our meeting, give us wisdom to make decisions that are in the best interest of our water system and its members. We ask that you watch over and protect our military men and women, law enforcement, healthcare workers, all those that work to keep us healthy and safe and free every day. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Director Duncher, pledge allegiance.
Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen. Announce, so we do have a quorum. Audio and video recorders are in use. If anybody would like to address the board, there's a sign-up sheet. Unfinished business, there's none. And we will go into the election of the officers. So current officers are President Mike Kennedy, Vice President Mark Miller, and Secretary Treasurer Bill Thiel. So do we have any nominations for president? Or is anybody interested in president? I will throw my name. I am interested in staying as president. Anybody else?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, we have two. Any further interests? All right, I'll need a motion to close nominations.
So move to close nominations.
Okay.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second to close. Any further discussion? All right, those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say no. Motion carries. Okay, and now we'll proceed to voting. So we'll just raise your hands.
Explain the procedure, please, how we're going to do this. Are we going to vote for each person individually, or?
Yes, that'll be fine. We'll just vote for each person individually. I'll just call out Mr. Campbell first, and
Okay.
unless you guys want to do it a different way.
Okay. You could, if you vote individually, you could have a split vote. In other words, if everybody votes for one and then everybody votes for another. You follow my logic?
There's 7 of us.
That's right. If you vote twice, in other words, you have to vote for one or the other.
Oh, okay, yes.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that is correct. Yes, you're voting for one or the other.
Okay.
Okay, so you have
Right,
one
it'll be
vote.
all
You have
those are
one
voting
vote.
for, all those are voting for the
Yes.
next one.
It will be all those voting for one and then all those, okay? So I will, all those in favor of Mr. Campbell as president, please raise your hand. Okay, I have Dabney, Linnell, and Campbell, and Mr. Thiel. So that will be 4. So that would make it that Director Campbell is president. And
Do you go
then,
ahead and pass the gavel now, or do you?
No.
Actually, yeah.
No, it actually is, it would be appropriate to pass the gavel now.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. So I will, I'll go ahead and.
That should have been last, that should.
Congratulations, Mr. President. So, are you good with the process?
We're gonna might as well through it, and you can kick me if I'm not.
Not a problem.
All right, and now for Vice President. Anybody interested in Vice President or nominations for Vice President?
Mr.
I'm
Miller?
interested in staying on.
Okay,
I'm interested.
okay. Same process?
Yes.
Mark and Don?
Well, we need to decide whether we're closing nominations.
Thank you,
or
Mark,
anyone
for
else
keeping
interested.
straight.
I move to close the nomination.
Okay.
Mike
Bill.
seconds.
Mike Kennedy seconds. Any other discussion? Okay. All those in favor of Mr. Mark Miller is to stay on as Vice President?
We closed the nomination first, so
Yeah.
we're
Okay,
voting on
we
that.
Just did. Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
All those in favor of closing the nominations, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, now, all those in favor of Mr. Mark Miller staying on as Vice President?
Okay, so you have Richard Miller, myself, and you.
Yep, 4.
I was up to.
Fine. And Mr. Dabney?
Don only gave me a 10, I realize.
Okay. So Mr. Mark Miller will remain as the vice president? All right, now currently we have secretary and treasurer as one person.
Has it always been?
Other than one brief period during 1 year.
Yeah.
Good by me.
I move to keep it that way because I think that that's important, that you have both of them, because so much overlaps.
Yes.
So I make a motion that we keep it as one individual.
Okay?
Well, right
I'll
now,
second
we've got,
that.
okay, so, well, we're motioning for just nominations, not one individual,
Yeah.
I believe, so.
Okay, withdraw my
So I-
motion.
What?
But a motion was made by a director, so
Right,
Unless-
the
unless
motion's
anybody-
on the floor.
anybody against keeping it as one person? Let's
Well,
go
we need
back.
a second. If nobody seconds
I'll
it,
second it.
I'll second.
All right, Mark and Daryl second. Okay. Any more discussion on keeping it, the secretary treasurer as one person?
I guess my question is,
Anybody else interested?
Right.
All right,
That's
so,
where I
so
was
now that
going.
it's one person, is anybody interested in being secretary treasurer?
I'd like to stay on.
Did we vote?
We didn't
We didn't vote.
decide, I think Mike's wanting to know if anybody else is interested, could we split it into?
Got it, all right, so
That's
we're still
correct.
discussing.
that's
Okay,
right,
so-
discussion.
all right.
No one else is
No one's
saying they
interested.
have an interest?
Daryl, you're not interested? I nominate Daryl.
No, I'm not interested in splitting
Okay.
Okay,
it into two jobs.
okay. So first, we're going to vote on keeping it secretary and treasurer as one person,
Correct.
because there was a motion and a second,
Right.
right?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All those in favor of keeping it as one person, secretary and treasurer, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Now we move to who, or is anybody interested in nominating?
I would
first?
like to stay on.
Bill Thiel is interested in staying on as secretary and treasurer.
I would nominate Daryl if he's interested.
Mr. Darrell, you?
I think Mr. Thiel is doing a fine job. I don't know what you're doing,
Well,
Okay, Darrell not interested?
but no, sir.
Okay. Any other nominations?
Motion to close nominations?
Second.
2 seconds for that. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. All those in favor of keeping Mr. Bill Thiel as the secretary treasurer?
Aye.
Aye.
Say aye. Aye.
I'm abstaining.
You're allowed to vote
You can vote for
yourself.
yourself.
Okay, well, then I vote for myself.
Okay. Fairpoint, Board of Representatives. Currently, we have 2 representatives. That's Mr. Kennedy and Mr. Miller.
I'm interested in staying on.
I will entertain those that are interested in staying up.
I'd be interested in being on it if Mike is not.
Yeah, I'm good with stepping down.
Okay. Anybody else interested in being represented for Fairpoint? So we have 2 individuals interested. All right.
Make a
I
motion.
nominate Mark Miller and
Daryl.
Daryl
This
for,
guy.
I make a motion to, I nominate Mark Miller and Daryl Lynchard for FRU Board Representatives.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Don seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Daryl and Mark. Okay, the Club of Hidden Creek Board of Rep. We just did.
I thought we just voted on the motion.
No, that was it for you.
Never mind. Yeah, that was number
That was for,
Yep,
yeah.
I caught up. Number 2.
All right, item number 3, the Club at Hidden Creek Board of Representatives. Currently, myself and Mr. Thiel,
I'm interested in staying on.
as am I.
Aye.
Good.
I'm gonna throw my name in there,
Okay.
because I don't think we need the president on that one as well.
And that is because,
You're now over the,
2 boards.
yep.
Yeah.
okay,
Does anybody else want to be in on?
President Campbell, I do want to make a point, and maybe it was just raised, but the agenda item says it's the Board of Hidden Creek Board Representatives. Remember that Director Thiel and Director Campbell, along with your CEO, are actually the members of that LLC.
Right.
So it's my understanding unless somebody tells me differently, that these are not the representatives of this board to that LLC's members, but it's a replacement of,
The representative.
either replacement or reappointment of them.
It's
to
the
that-
managing
to that- as
members of the
managers
LLC.
your
Yeah.
wholly owned company,
Yeah.
Club Hidden Creek. I just want to make sure that that's the case.
Certainly what I was.
They're not board of representatives, they're managing members of the LLC,
Right,
of a separate LLC
right,
that still reports to this board.
correct,
The whole board, not just the president of the board, right?
correct.
And this board still has the authority to assign who those representatives are.
Absolutely. And
Absolutely.
my understanding is that's what you're doing on this agenda item.
Correct.
So you're either keeping your managers, the two board member managers, you don't have an agenda item to replace their third manager, your CEO, but these two. So I just want to make sure that was with it. Because, you know,
Because in
we will
essence,
have to update Sunbiz, there are other, it's a separate legal entity.
Right.
correct, and that's kind of why I'd like to stay on. It is a separate legal entity that reports to this whole board with limitations on what they can and can't do. But
So I'll,
more discussion.
yeah, well, for
Don?
me, I think I'm in Mike's boat where it's the president, I think you got enough on your plate for one, and that group kind of reports back to us, and you're our leader. So I think it's appropriate for you not to be on it, for the president not to be on the subset. I can understand that.
I mean, if it requires changing on Sunbiz, that's what you gotta do, that's what we'll do. Does that sound right?
Yeah,
I don't see it as a
requires
direct conflict, but I can see where it might be better if we had someone that was not the president of the board in that position. And that, all that said, I think Director Campbell and Director Thiel have done an amazing job in their positions since that was created. The club's operating in the black for the first time in a long, long, long time, so, you know, I would expect that Director Campbell would continue that, but I could see where it might be better to have someone else in.
And that is to be the only reason, because, you know, we've got a year into it, we have some plans, but, okay. Daryl, your feelings?
I mean, I agree with it. I think that probably shouldn't be, or someone shouldn't be the head of that board and this board. Because you hold a lot more operational strength with the Club at Hidden Creek's board than you do with the
Well,
President.
the three managers are actually equal, the CEO
Yeah.
and the
No,
two
I mean,
managing members.
in your position as a manager of the club at Hidden Creek, both of you actually wield a lot more power than any other member on the board of directors because you actually have operational control of one of the units. So I think that it'd be nice to separate that from our leadership on our board.
Okay. I guess that's why I see it just a little different, where this whole board is operational control, not just the president, but, okay, all right.
Director
So-
Linnell, Director
you don't have
Linnell, are
to-
you interested?
If you're interested, stay interested, we got to vote.
Yeah. I mean, it was
Okay,
me.
so
it was-
Mike?
Yeah, me and Director
You
Thiel
selected
and
two.
Joe, unless you're going to pull out.
Well, if the majority of the board feels I should, you know,
And they do.
and Don, you were interested as well?
I would be, yes, if we need a third. Even if we don't, I'd
I
be
think there's
interested.
only
but I
three
was-
total, because you got,
Yeah, the CEO is, and he's not on this list as being, I mean, that,
we don't plan on replacing them
But he's
yet.
in the entity.
he
Yeah,
is,
and it's
in the
important to point
operating-
out,
yeah.
uh,
in the operating agreement, it is
Right.
spelled out as the CEO and two board of directors.
Correct, and President Campbell, probably good to point out that the operational reporting of the Club at Hidden Creek, it's run by the Board of Directors, that is the managers of the LLC. The two that you're talking about here today, or tonight, your CEO, and then that reports operationally to your CEO. And you control the organization because you control these two board members.
Okay?
I mean, you control the appointment of these, you don't control them.
Yeah, I
So
would
we got
be
the nominations
interested.
in?
So,
Well, I don't think we made a motion yet, though, have we?
no, we're still finding interest. So, all right, so I will back off, say I'm not interested because the majority of the board thinks it not the right thing to do.
Yep.
So I will do that. And so right now I have Mike and Bill is still interested and
And Don's interested.
Don interested.
Yep.
Okay, so now we have to vote for 2.
This could be interesting.
Do you want to close the?
Close nominations.
Anybody else? Anybody else
I
interested?
move to close the nomination.
Okay,
I'll second.
okay. All in favor of closing nominations?
Aye.
All right. So you get 2 votes. Let me think of the best way to do this.
Use them wisely.
I said, I can't see you.
And
Vote with the votes.
I'm going to make a suggestion because we have 3 people kind of wanting to be in 2 positions. I'd like to know more about what each person's experience level is with Hidden Creek, you know? I mean,
With golf course management.
yeah, exactly.
Not necessarily
Can
Hidden
we
Creek.
give everybody a minute to do their elevator speech and say what their experience level is with either golf course management or Hidden
Well,
Creek?
it's not really golf course management because we actually have a PGA pro that manages, really like a board of directors. The managing members, Will, if I'm not mistaken, is really the equivalent of a board of directors. It's just different for an LLC.
But y'all are calling the operational shots. I mean, they still answer to you as a board.
They still answer to the CEO.
The CEO.
The answer to the
We-
CEO.
The-
They make policy.
These managing members literally, say, they make policy, but the head pro answers to the CEO on a daily basis. So literally, it is just like this as a board of directors that gets reports from this staff and makes policy decisions.
Is your still request to give an elevator speech?
I'd still like
That's what
to
it is.
hear what each candidate has to say.
I'm fine with going first. Might want to
Okay.
take a minute.
All right, Don?
Okay, as far as interaction with Hidden Creek, other than playing here, none. Before moving here, living in Texas, member of Fair Oaks Ranch, we had 36 holes. Was president of the MGA 2 years, and for 3 years, I was on the improvement committee at Fair Oaks Ranch, looking over, projecting what do we want to do in the future. It was out of our control. Club Corp made the decisions, but I was on that committee. That's it. And I play golf.
Mike?
As many of you know, I'm well versed in the financials of the golf course, in terms of exactly what we make in revenue on each category, in terms of what we're trying to do with driving rounds, driving revenue, to make it profitable, involved with, anything that has to do with, the promoting the golf course, especially with the kids doing the junior program here. I've had the entire year working with Dr. Peavy, so I know exactly what was going on with the golf course and their actions and what they've been doing. So, yeah. For me, for all of you to know, as you probably know by now, my goal is that this golf course becomes profitable, stays profitable, and manageable. And so, we're kind of calling this the profitability, playability, and aesthetics. So that's what I would be focusing on.
I've been here in Holly by the Sea since 2000. I've been a lifetime, I've played golf since then at Hidden Creek. Been a lifetime member since 2004. I've also been, as you know, a member on the management team for Hidden Creek for the past year. And I would like to think that I was at least 1/3 responsible for turning this thing around from what it has been in the past to what it is now, and we're headed in the right direction, and I'd like to continue to pursue that. I am also intimately familiar with all the financials, because we've been involved in that all year, and we've developed a CIP plan and plans for further improvement.
Okay. You get 2 votes. And trying to think of how we can do that.
Is it better
Without a
to just
piece
do
of paper,
ballot?
you can't.
Just second?
Without a piece of paper, you can't.
Will's facing us, so he can,
But, President Campbell, one way to do it is each of you get to vote, vote twice. You do it the same way you've been doing, and you call for the votes for each, and we'll record them. At the end, if we don't total 14, we will have messed up, and we'll have to do it again. But if we get to the end and I count 14, assuming no one voted 3 times and one person won,
Okay, so you're going to keep us honest.
correct.
Okay, you get to vote for 2, so let's
We
start.
never can't count papers, so.
End of discussion. Anybody else have any other further discussion?
Motion, close the nomination, motion.
Make and move to close the nominations.
Second.
And Don, second. All in favor of closing the nominations?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so raise your right hand if you would like to maintain Mr. Bill Thiel on the Hidden Creek managing members.
6.
Okay, so raise your other hand if you would like to have Mr. Mike Kennedy on the Board of Managers.
Okay, I see what's happening here. All right, so yeah, so wait a minute, let me just, I apologize for this because that's, the 14 thing is not working.
Well, you got one more person to vote for.
Right, you don't vote, like the first round, 6 people voted for,
Bill.
Bill. So at that point, one person hadn't voted at all. So it's hard for me to keep.
All right,
up.
let's do it
So
this
it's
way.
gonna be better
I think
if
it'll
y'all
still work out.
pass a piece
No,
of paper
It'll
with
work
like
out.
2 names
We're
on
taking
it.
It'll all
Daryl's-
work out, just,
We're taking Daryl's suggestion.
Right.
So,
Two names.
write 2 names down, and if you can hand it to Mr. Dunaway when you're done, that way he can count.
Yeah, y'all do remember what happened last time.
That's why, that's,
This paper vote thing don't work very well.
4, 5, 6, 7.
When you're going for 1 out of 2, it's a little tricky.
No, I
2
know.
out of 3?
no, you're right. No, you're right, we should have,
yeah, and it affects the order that you vote and everything else.
Exactly.
damn rookies.
I just remember the time James did that.
I do expect there'll be 6 for me, though, or I'm gonna be pissed. Demand a recount of fixed job.
President Campbell, your board vote was for Mr. Bill Field 6, for Mr. Director Linnell 5, and for Director Kennedy 3. Therefore, your 2 managers will be Director Linnell and Director Field.
Okay. Item number 4, pensions 401K trustees. Currently, Mr. Kennedy and Mr. Thiel. Discussion there. You two still interested in staying there?
I am interested in staying on there.
You said you want to stay on it?
I will stay on it, but I'm also interested in spreading the wealth here, so we've got a couple any other directors that don't have a bona fide job and are interested in doing it, I would entertain that, because
I'll be on it.
I'm more interested in staying on the finance, as the finance committee chairman, as the secretary
So
treasurer.
Daryl and Mike Kennedy. Anyone else interested?
So yeah, didn't Bill say he wanted to stay on?
He was willing to move if
I'm
somebody
willing to
was.
defer. I move that Mike Kennedy and Daryl
His heart's not in it anymore.
Lynch, no, that's not true. Daryl Lynch
I'm just kidding.
stay on, or I move that Mike Kennedy and Daryl Lynchard be appointed as 2 trustees to the 401K pension plan for hauling of our water system.
Okay,
I'll second.
okay, Mike seconds. Any other discussion since no other volunteers? All in favor of Daryl and Mike as the 401K and pension trustees? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Subcommittee chairs.
Okay, if I can just make a statement here, Mr. President. I've been chair of the Finance Committee, which is in charge of all the subcommittees for the past year, and I think that is really the job of the Secretary Treasurer, but of course, that's for the board to decide. But one recommendation I would make is that we eliminate one of the subcommittees. I'll ask the CEO for concurrence if he concurs with this or not, but I think the Bonds Committee didn't really have anything to do because we've found financing outside. We haven't used the Bonds Committee in forever, so I think until such time as we need it, we should disband that committee.
I agree completely.
Okay, any other comments? Was that a motion, Mr. Thiel?
Yes.
I'll second.
There's no requirements.
What was the motion, Dale?
To eliminate the bond committee,
Is that what it is?
It made the Bonds Subcommittee.
bond subcommittee.
Any other discussion, comments?
So
I mean,
we have
we could
zero,
always,
so right now we have 0 bonds?
yeah, we
No
determined
plan.
there was not a viable option for bond financing. The financing that we got is much better than this, so.
Okay.
We can always start one back up if
Yep.
we see a need for bonds, but I don't see one right now.
At one time, we thought that might do the Eglin project with bonds, but it turned out that wasn't cost-effective, efficient.
Right.
So
Okay.
rather than have somebody in charge of doing nothing,
Any other discussion there? We have a motion and a second? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
So the Bonds Committee is no longer. All right, back to the Finance Committee. Mr. Thiel, anybody interested?
I'm interested in being the Finance Committee Chairman.
I nominate Bill Thiel for chairman of the finance committee.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any other nominations?
No, there's a motion on the floor and seconded, so it needs to be voted on.
Okay. Thank you for that. The motion is second, so all in favor of Mr. Thiel staying on the Finance Committee?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Egan Project, currently Mr. Campbell.
So what do you want to do, Mr.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Darrell Lynchard.
Thank you.
Huh?
Thank you.
Well,
Do you accept?
I know you're interested in that and been involved in it, so is anybody else? I motioned.
I'll second.
Motion and a second.
Yep.
All in favor of Mr. Darrell Lynchard heading the Eglin Project Committee?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Darrell. Capital improvements is currently still myself.
Do you still want it or want off? I'm interested.
Okay.
So I'll throw that out to anybody or to everybody.
Anybody else interested?
I make a motion to close nomination.
Okay. Mike made a motion to close nominations. I'll second that. All right, so we have one nomination. Mr. Don Linnell is the capital improvements chair of that committee.
Mr. President.
What'd I do wrong now?
I don't want to get over technical, but when you're holding the gavel, you don't second. So that's.
Got it? Okay.
That's typical, but
I'll second it. I'll second it.
there's no harm, but.
Got it. I won't do that again. Okay, I have motion and second for Mr. Linnell as the capital improvements chair. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Just
Last-
as a point of, you can always, as the chairman, pass the gavel to either make a motion or second if you see that something's gonna die and
We're
you
good.
don't want it to. So that's the way, that would be the way to do it.
I'm used to a smaller board.
Yes, sir, I understand.
Okay. I wasn't watching Mike all that closely this year. All right, last committee, budget. Mr. Kennedy is the current chair.
So you want to stay?
Yes, I do enjoy the budget.
Okay.
I nominate Mike as the budget
I'll
committee
second.
chair.
We have a motion and second. All in favor of Mr. Kennedy staying as the budget chair of the budget committee?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, check signers. Current check signers are Mr. Kennedy, Mr. Miller, Dr. Peavy, and Mr. Clinton Wells.
I think
It's
the president should
president.
be one of the check signers, so,
Is it historically the president, the vice
Yes,
president?
yes, historically the president. Not necessarily the vice president, generally the secretary treasurer, but it can be any board member.
Yeah. I mean, I assume we should take me off of the check signers and put, especially you, because you will be signing checks, so it needs to be president. And Dr. Peavy, do you need anybody else to sign checks other than what we've had now? What, other than this change, do you need anybody else?
No, sir. Does our policies of the charter require 4? And why do we have 4 before?
Always had.
Always have?
I would nominate Daryl to be a check signer. He gets up way early.
he's got one of me.
Early bird.
Let's let Mark do that.
And I think the reason that we have 4 is if,
Secretary,
let's say,
Treasurer.
Dr. Peavy and Clinton Wells are out of town on
Yeah.
water company business or something,
that's
then,
what it
and we need,
was.
2 signers, we'd have 2 people that are here locally.
We can do
I
one.
would like to consider having the secretary treasurer be the second, be a backup too, but that's just for the board to decide.
I think that'd be, sounds like a problem.
All right, so had a lot of discussion now, because Mike said it should be the president.
And-
Mark's already on there. Dallas and Clinton are on there. So you wanted to, the discussion was to add?
Yeah, I'd make a
Or-
motion to add the president, which would be Mr. Campbell, and the secretary.
Yes, that's, in other words, removing yourself.
And removing me.
Mark.
Add in my
And-
motion.
And Mark, correct?
Well, he was on there as the vice president, but
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I mean, I
So
didn't
we'd
know
have
if we were gonna-
5?
So we would have 5 signers then?
you want to?
Sometimes they're scrambling to get checks signed. I don't see a
I
reason
would
why
just
we.
leave, unless the business needs anything, I'd leave Mark, I just add
Yeah.
you, or change you, add you, remove me, and add the secretary.
Okay. I'm good with that.
Good, that's
Is that the motion?
the
Second.
motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, so Campbell
Add
added,
Kennedy, removed.
right? Miller was already on there,
Yep. And,
but not add the secretary treasurer.
No,
But you
add.
said, so you're
Add.
adding a person including, so you're going to leave Clinton,
Yep.
Wells, and so you're actually for a fifth, sorry.
that's great.
All right. So the motion is to add Campbell and the secretary treasurer and Mr. Thiel, the other 3 remain.
That's great.
And to eliminate Director Kennedy.
And remove-
Correct, and remove Mike Kennedy, yeah.
Yes, sir.
That's the motion.
Yep.
Is there,
It was second.
And I have a question.
okay,
This would
discussion?
probably be for Ms. Emerald. The, the signature forms, do they allow for 5 check signers on there? Is that a,
They'll allow for as many as you want.
okay, all right, just want to make sure. Don't,
I'm sorry, I'm not Ms. Emerald, but
He's correct.
yeah, okay.
see you.
Okay. So we have a motion and second.
Yep.
Any more discussion?
So I'm clear, we're not saying, or adding 5 doesn't mean that 5 people have to sign the checks,
No,
correct?
no.
That's correct, only
All right.
2.
Then I'm good.
Only 2 have to.
Okay.
Okay. Any other further discussion? All in favor of Mr. Campbell, Mr. Miller, Mr. Thiel, Dr. Peavy, and Clinton Wells as check signers?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, Sunbiz update. I guess I need to entertain a motion to change the board of directors to be updated in Sunbiz.
I'd like to make a motion to change to update Sunbiz with the current 2022 Board of Directors for Holly Navarre Water System, and also to update Sunbiz for the managers of the club at Hidden Creek.
Good call.
I will second.
Okay, have a first and second. Any discussion? Any further discussion?
Who is doing the update?
They do.
Registered
Okay.
agent.
So that included the club at Hidden Creek managing members.
Yes.
All right. No other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And I just have a point of order here, that point of discussion, I guess as it was. We also have another wholly owned subsidiary under Holly Navarre Water System, which is Messy, which is
Right.
currently the officers for that are the CEO and the 2 two people that own Messi. So I'll make sure that the board is still in favor of that being that way, or do you want to put some board member representatives on that?
I think that might be a discussion for another meeting as opposed to
Okay.
the reorg meeting, if
Okay.
that's something you want to put on an agenda.
Nope, I don't want to put it on the agenda then, there's no interest.
Okay. And there's discussion from the board. Any members want to address the board? Okay,
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
all in favor?
Aye?
Aye.